Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time watching this channel, thank you so much for being here. I hope you stay. If you like what you hear, I would love for you to click the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow. And click the like button. It tells the algorithm on YouTube that this is a worthwhile video watching, or worthwhile video to watch. It immensely helps me in growing this channel, and this channel, the purpose of this channel is to help you enhance your own abilities in terms of expressing more of your own human potential, and to help you remove yourselves from your own internal prison, which we are all in some way, shape, or form. And the more we know ourselves, the more we can allow ourselves to move out of these internal prisons. And the idea of prison essentially means that it does not allow a certain level of freedom to be expressed. Therefore, my greatest joy is to help you recover the power that is already within you, that will allow you ultimately to express yourself to the fullest. And if you notice the title of the video, you probably have, that's what caught your attention. This is the very first time I have ever recorded a forecast for an entire year as a collective. So that's the first surprise. I have two surprises for you. First time recording the collective forecast for 2023. And I seem to be going to some pretty interesting areas that I have never gone to before. So it's a little bit learning how to walk for me. And I will go through that in just a moment. And the second surprise is that I have not done individual signs forecast for over 2 years, and I got a feeling from my team that this would be a very opportune time to offer people something a little bit more individual. If you are not able to have a private session with me, to help you essentially realize yourself, realize more of your potential. And so I've been working on those for the last couple of months. They're quite intense. They are the deepest forecasts, if I could use that word, that I have ever done, aside from my private work with clients. And the way that in the type of information that came out for each one, each sign is quite substantial. And I'm hoping that if you choose to watch it, and I will share with you how to get to those in just a moment. If you would choose to watch it, I'm hoping that you will be able to go through this video, or however many you purchase throughout the year, to help you pinpoint what's going on, to help you make sense of what's going on in the world and how the outer world affects you in your individual world, in your private world. Also, if you choose to be in my inner circle, if you will, in my Joanna family, and if you have signed up for my newsletter, you will be getting these forecasts for up to 88% off. I'm basically giving them away because we want everyone to be as empowered as we possibly can be, not only in 2023, but 2023 and beyond, for the rest of our lives and continuing on to other lifetimes. And so if you are in my private circle, if you have subscribed to my email, if you have gotten any of the free gifts, and there's a link below, you are probably already automatically subscribed to my email list. You will be getting an email, or you might have gotten one already, with some promo codes that will allow you to get these individual signs, or all of them, for up to 88% off. So if you are not part of my email list, all you have to do is just click on the bottom right there, link joannathehealer.com, there will be a pop-up window that will show up saying, these are free gifts. Get yourself on the list for these free gifts, and you will be automatically subscribed to receive these emails with these promo codes. And I'm offering basically the giveaway. 88% off is pretty much like giving it away. This is for a very limited time. They're also reminding me to say that each one of the signs is almost to somehow over an hour long. So it's literally like having a one-on-one with me. These forecasts are energetically supported. And what that means is that there's a certain energy flow for each sign that will literally go beyond your critical thinking and go straight into your vibration, where your soul is going to hear the message, even though you may not understand logically what it is that I'm saying or what it is that I'm talking about. So get yourself on the list, get yourself the promo codes, get yourself the forecast for 2023, and I hope that they will serve you well and that you can go back to them over and over and kind of check in with what's going on in the world, because there's a lot of things going on in the world from what I basically received. And literally use it as a tool to help you not only be more empowered, but how to firmly stand on your own 2 feet. And our world is a bit shaky. It has been shaky for a while. Certainly the last 2 years or so, 2.5 years have been quite shaky. And, there's no need for me to go into the details of what that is. But so those are my 2 surprises. I will mention the links again at the end. But without further ado, let's jump into 2023 and what this year has in store for us. 2 words that were given to me, one is literally just being given to me right now, are, I'm going to say, words that highlight the overall energy for 2023 when it comes to the entire population, the entire human existence, the entire human collective, essentially what's happening in our world. First one is adaptation. And I said, okay, I understand what adaptation means. Adaptation about what? And adaptation to new world order. Now, the words are very interesting because the whole idea of new world order has different meanings. So I specifically said, what is this new world order about? And I was told that it is essentially a collapse of existing totalitarian-based systems. I feel this has already been happening. It feels like it's been a built-up. And 2023 and beyond, we're going to see the collapse of totalitarian-based or type-based type systems. I don't think I have to go into the idea of what that is. I am not someone who generally channels information of that nature. So even for me, this information is kind of, I'm not exactly sure what that means. So keep in mind that I don't always understand what's coming through me, but this is certainly coming through me, and therefore it is important for me to share with you. Ultimately, remember, my purpose is to help you be strong in your own sense of self. Be strong in your own sense of who you are. And the stronger you are in your own beliefs, the more aligned you are with the universal laws, the universal truth, the stronger you will be able to withstand what's going on in our world. And imagine the idea of the world being shaky. If you have nothing stable to hold on to, then you're going to feel shaky as well. You're not going to feel very stable. On the other hand, if you have something to hold on to, as in your own inner strength, the world can be shaky, but you can move with whatever is happening in a way that allows you to still prosper, to still function properly, and to not be overcome or overwhelmed by what is going on in the world. And essentially what's going on in the world is we are at war with ourselves. That's essentially what it is. We have been at war with ourselves for a long time. And being at war with ourselves simply means that we are not at peace. Therefore, how can we expect a peaceful world if our own inner world is not one of peace? And that's because whatever we are experiencing, collectively speaking, is the reflection of the individual's inner world. So what's happening in the world right now, all the dissonance that we are experiencing, is essentially a reflection of our own dissonance with ourselves. And this is what my job is, to help you be more in alignment with who you really are. Not who you were told you should be, not who you think you are, especially if what you think is limiting you. Not what beliefs you were fed that are not in accordance with your truth, with your higher truth. And essentially what we are experiencing is becoming more spiritually aligned. Doesn't mean you have to be religious. Absolutely does not mean anything of that sort whatsoever. You can if you want to, but that's not what it means. It simply means to be spiritually aligned means to be aligned with the higher laws of nature, higher laws of the universe. And despite what some people may think, the universe is not chaos. The universe may seem like chaos. Certainly our world seems like chaos right now, but even the chaos is in absolute perfect order. That's right. Even this chaos is an absolute and perfect order. But when we are only seeing the world with our human eyes, with our human perceptions, we cannot see the bigger picture. And if we cannot see the bigger picture, we get lost in the minutiae of what's going on. Doesn't mean that it's not important. It doesn't mean it isn't real. It absolutely is. But there is absolutely a lot more to our reality than what we are seeing and what we are experiencing. And we are slowly but surely moving more into that space of being able to truly understand the power of who we really are underneath our own human assumptions, beliefs, ideas. We are all essentially powerful, powerful, powerful beings. Majority of beings, people, don't remember that. And that's because we have chosen to come into this world with a veil of forgetfulness. And the ego will be very quick in defending this and saying, I did not choose this. Trust me, I know. I know. I've said this to myself many times before. I chose this. Are you kidding me? What was I thinking? Well, here's the thing. You are not thinking with your human mind, and you are not seeing with your human eyes. You are seeing and thinking from a much, much, much higher perspective, which is where you come from. It's who you are. That's your base. But your perception of you has been reduced to your 3D understanding of who you think you are. And we are at the point of our own human evolution where we are beginning to crack through that illusion. What happens when you crack a shell, for example, of an egg? The goods get exposed. What happens when you crack through a shell of a nut? You get to not only see, but experience what's inside. You get to experience the fruit, the sweetness of the fruit. And obviously that's a metaphor. So adaptation is the first word. We are learning how to adapt to the new world order, one that is a lot less based on I can't even say that word. It just tells you it's not in my vocabulary. Totalitarian-based systems. Okay. The other word is reform. Need I say more? What does it mean to reform? Reform simply means to restructure. Disassemble something and then restructure it to something a lot more, I'm going to use the term positive. Let's face it, we live in a world of a lot of negativity. There's no point in hiding that. We also do live in a world of positivity. We live in both worlds. The problem is, if I can use that analogy, is that most of the time what we see is a lot of the negative. Doesn't mean positive isn't happening, but our focus is on the negative. And when we focus on the negative, when that's what's in our face, what are we experiencing? If this is what we are looking at, if this is where we give our energy, if this is what we are seeing, if that's all there is, that begins to be our world. And it looks like 2023 is a year where many of us are beginning to see beyond that, see beyond the negativity, see beyond what's being presented to us. I am by nature, as Joanna, not an extremist. I try to avoid being into extremes. My job is always to come back to some balance. It makes sense. My rising sign is Libra, makes perfect sense. So what I'm saying is not to introduce some idea that's, somehow crazy or innovative. I'm sure many of you already understand what I'm trying to say. My job is just to kind of sort of paint a picture of what's going on, and then to give you the tools to help you deal with whatever is going on. So we are in a world of adaptation as a result of the world reforming or restructuring. Also, exchange of information and ideas is changing. How we exchange information and ideas. So when this phrase was given to me, I kind of said, what does that mean? And what I got very, very strongly is that, again, this is collective, okay? And collective will affect you personally, but this is collective, that we are no longer following blindly outdated ideas and blind faith. We are no longer following blindly or blindly following outdated ideas and blind faith, which may make some of you feel like you're going against the grain. And that can sometimes feel lonely for a moment. Here's an image, imagine a whole bunch of people running in one direction, completely just like masses of people running in one direction. And you are moving in the opposite direction, and people are you crazy? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this crazy thing? So we are also in the process of shifting what we see and how we feel about what we see. Okay. Reform of ideologies. We are going through a process of reforming our ideologies. And ideologies are very important. You have your own ideology about you, and that gives you a certain sense of who you are. So reforming of ideologies is very big. It's in fact monumental. And this reform of ideologies is for the betterment. And anything that goes through restructuring, imagine a home that you live in and you decide to update your home, and you tear everything down, you just leave the bases, intact. That at first, that process is a bit of a mess. Let's face it, it's a bit of a mess. You have to tear down the walls, you have to tear down the pictures, everything that you've looked at, everything that was familiar to you gets taken down. So when it gets taken down, it feels like chaos and mess. But remember, even chaos is in divine order. So although we may be experiencing a lot of chaos as a result of ideologies being torn down, systems being torn down, this too shall pass, as I hear, and this part of the process is absolutely necessary in order to then reform new structures, new systems, and new ideologies. Okay? So again, this is collective. This is a collective energy. But the collective is made up of individuals, you and I. So the collective energy will absolutely affect your individual energy, your individual life. That's why I feel the individual forecasts, because of the nature of how they came out, I feel they're going to be profoundly helpful to each and every one of you who chooses to watch it. You don't have to, obviously. They're going to be profoundly helpful in order to help you make sense of what the hell is going on. What the hell is going on in the world, right? Who knows? The other thing I saw is lifting each other up rather than tearing people down. So we are starting to move in that direction. We are starting to move in a direction where we begin to lift people up versus tearing them down. And there's a lot of tearing down right now, including people. Everybody is fighting with themselves. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean. People have completely different ideas, and oftentimes there is no agreement to disagree. There is a fight, or there is suppression, and there is abolishment. And that can't work for too long. It doesn't, because it doesn't support life. It doesn't fundamentally support life. It often squashes life. So what you'll notice, hopefully in 2023, that people and institutions come together, and rather than tearing each other down, they're finding ways how to support each other for a common goal, which means in order to support each other for a common goal, the common goal has to be clearly defined. If a common goal cannot be clearly defined, then we cannot support each other for the purpose of attaining this common goal. So, sounds like what we will be seeing, hopefully, is people redefining their goals, their goals, and finding common goals amongst each other. If you have two organizations, as an example, who are seemingly working towards the same goal, but they're not in agreement with each other, and rather than focusing on the goal itself, they focus on their disagreements, then where does the energy go? The energy goes towards the fighting. It doesn't go towards the common goal, which means the common goal suffers. It doesn't get the attention that it needs. And all of the fighting, which you probably have already guessed, is all ego-based. It's ego-based. Essentially, it's all ego-based. Because when we are focusing on a common goal, on a higher consciousness, when we are focusing with that, we are aligning ourselves with our own higher consciousness, which means we are much less driven by our ego. And here's the thing about ego. Ego is wonderful. I love ego. It allows me to experience life through this avatar called Joanna and all the different quirks that she is and that she has. But ego also possesses a lot of shadows, things that are in the dark. And when we are not in alignment with ourselves, when we are in conflict, more often than not, the conflict is the result of our shadows having power over us. Okay? So in order to focus on a common goal and work towards that goal collectively, we have to, absolutely have to, identify our own inner shadows, collectively speaking. And you've heard the phrase, the moment you shed light on a shadow, it's no longer a shadow. And what is shadow? Shadow is fear-based. So a lot of what prevents us collectively from focusing on a higher common goal is egos fighting, and the driver for the inner ego fight is always fear-based. Okay? And if we are driven by our fear, then we can't expand very far because fear is limiting. That's just the way it is. That is not to say we shouldn't have fear. If it wasn't important, fear wouldn't be part of our existence. Absolutely, it's important. I always give, not a very serious example. If a mad dog is chasing you, or if a lion is chasing you, I want you to be fearful and run for your life because you want to preserve your life. Keep that. That's important. That's part of your human structure. That's part of what you need in order to stay alive. But I'm not talking about those. Obviously, I'm not talking about those. So this lifting of each other rather than tearing people down is on a massive scale that eventually leads to more of humanity collectively focusing and actually attaining this higher goal. Whatever it is that we decide as a human race for our higher goal to be. And as a collective, my understanding is that what we are deciding on some level, usually unconsciously, is to attain a higher level of awareness. And so much is connected to that, right? So if our goal is higher awareness, but we are focusing on fighting each other, how the hell are we ever going to reach that point? We're not. It's not going to happen. So we first have to look at what's happening here. Why are we fighting each other? Why are we fighting so much? Why are we tearing each other down? What's the point of that? If we are to be a collective race, which by the way we are, if we are to experience more love and joy and happiness and peace in our world, there's no bloody way we're going to achieve that through fighting. It just simply is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Replacement and collapse, first collapse of and then replacement of social economic institutions. That's a completely new subject for me to talk about because it's not something I normally get into. But I thought, okay, total collapse and replacement of social economic institutions. Okay. So I said, show me a little bit more. And what I saw was collapse of existing structures in the political arena, especially governments and banks, okay? And I also saw specifically the collapse of structures in terms of how money is handled. This was very interesting. And what I saw is that as a result of this collapse, a lot of corruption was being exposed. So it looks like 2023 is going to shed light on things that were in the dark before, things that were not seen, things that were happening beyond our awareness, but that are fundamental part of our existing structures that we depend on. And a lot of corruption was being exposed, especially corruption in the name of God or corruption in the name of justice or injustice. And I thought that was very interesting. Okay. So because of all of this being exposed, what we will experience at first is chaos. Okay. And this is what's going to happen. At least this is what I'm being shown. When this chaos ensues first as a result of this collapse and this unraveling of old systems, there are going to be those who will take advantage of this chaos for their own individual ego-based agenda. Absolutely 100%. There will be that. And they're saying to me that that's almost unavoidable when it comes to restructuring of social economic systems. There will always be those who will take advantage of what's happening, and they will use it for to boost their own egos. Okay, that will happen. So we will see that happening. However, what they also said was that what we will also see is have an opportunity for those people who want to make this world a better place. Okay? And the way that it was shown to me is, the systems are collapsing. There's all these different pieces that are now all over the place. And as a result of that collapse of the systems, certain things are being revealed. Okay? And I'm hearing the word corruption. Okay, again, not something I generally talk about, but I'm being asked to say this. But there will be people who will look at what's going on, reflect upon what has been happening, and collectively decide to make this world a better place. Collectively. And you and I are part of the collective. So it is very likely that you will experience the aftermath of whatever chaos is going to ensue. And you will, in some way, shape, form that's uniquely yours, going to take advantage of the situation in a way that allows you to be a part of creating a better world for yourself and collectively. Okay? And remember that the collective is made up of you and I. That's what collective is. Okay? What I also saw is a reform of health organizations and it was reform of core values and basic human rights. So core values and basic human rights are being addressed with regards to health organizations and reform or reorganizing these structures. Okay. Again, what I'm seeing is an idea that collectively we have to check in with ourselves and ask ourselves, what is the higher goal that we're trying to reach? If everybody is just trying to do their own thing with complete disregard for another, then we will not be part of a peaceful place. As harsh as it sounds. On the other hand, when we support one another, when we collectively align to experience this higher goal, to attain this higher goal, whatever it is, then we do it together. And for one, when we do it together, it's a lot easier to accomplish. We don't step over each other. We do it with one another. We don't do it through fighting. We do it through collaboration. But here's the thing. Remember, the wars that we are seeing on the outside are reflective to the wars we live in on the inside. This is a year to face your shadows. Well, as far as I'm concerned, any year is a year to face your shadows, but particularly this year, because it's a year of profound change. And it's not just 2023. I think it's 2023 and then it follows, because I'm being shown 2023, 2024, 2025. I believe Uranus is in Taurus for another couple of years or so. And I'm not an astrologer, but my understanding is that Uranus is all about restructuring. And I'm a Taurus, so I know a little bit about Taurus. So we are going through a collective restructuring, and Uranus, let me just look that up here. Uranus. Yes, rebellion, oops. Rebellion, eccentricity, upheaval. Okay, yes, makes perfect sense. So this is overall energy. There's a couple of cards that I was drawn to see, to look at, to give me a little bit more information. And it's actually beautiful. I see it as a beautiful. It's no different than watching birth. The first time I actually saw birth on a video, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I think I probably even got sick. So the idea of something being birthed does not come with its own discomfort. In fact, it can be painfully uncomfortable. Okay? But through the discomfort and through the pain of whatever is happening, there is something brand new and something so precious that emerges. This is essentially the energy that we are in. That is the energy that we are in. So you will likely see births happening in your own life, not physical births necessarily, although that can certainly be the case, but I'm talking bigger picture. Birth as in new ways of understanding, new birthing, new you. And a lot of it is going to come as a result of shadow work. So again, if you're inclined to watch the individual forecasts, there's going to be a lot of information for you to kind of sit on and contemplate and go, okay. They're very rich and very deep. Like I said, I've never done forecasts that went this deep. So again, if you're on my list, link down below, you'll get for a very limited time up to 88% off. I just want you all to be equipped with this information, because the more people experience their true power, the more we can realize our potential, the more we realize we don't have to fight one another. We can all have it done collectively without needing to fight, because the universe knows no lack. The universe knows no lack. The universe is abundant in everything, including a lot of lack, but also abundance. So it all depends where we are collectively facing, what energies we are vibing in, that then we will create our collective experience. So if we're collectively experiencing a lot of chaos and a lot of fear, what does that tell you about each and every one of us? This is exactly what's happening within. And the world does not change by itself. We co-create the world we live in. We are powerful creators. So you co-create the world you live in, and you co-create the world you live in terms of your own individual world. That's how powerful we are. We just don't understand it. And let me share these cards with you because they're magical, literally. First one is called allowance. Look at this beautiful image. To me, it's representative of birth happening. And the predominant colors to me that stand out are yellow, orange, and red. So those are the first three chakras, which are all based on survival. Those are all survivor chakras. They're connected to our physical bodies. Okay. The third one, or the yellow, being our ego. Okay. So the first three chakras are about preserving our ego self. Okay. Higher up we go, we move up to the spiritual planes. Okay. And this is what it says. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. Okay? Number 9 to me represents letting go. We're not quite at completion yet, which to me represents a number 10, but we're in the process of letting something go. Outdated ideas, ideologies, outdated beliefs, blind faith, okay? Anything of that nature, anything that's limiting, essentially. Okay, so allowance, which means whatever is happening in the world, which may feel very chaotic, it may seem very chaotic, in fact it is. Always remember that even the chaos is in perfect divine order. But in order to truly be able to see it, we cannot see it only by looking through the lens of our human eyes. We have to be able to see it from a much higher perspective. Okay? The second card is called magic. Look at the difference in colors. Okay? So the first one represents a lot of healing with the first three chakras. Okay? And then we move to the higher planes of the purples, which is all the blues and the purples, which is the expression, the indigo, the purple. So those are the higher chakras. That's how I perceive this right now. Okay. 3 is a number of expansion. 1 is a number of new beginning. 3 and 1 comes to 4, which to me in my language represents creating new foundations from scratch, or as a result of a reform. So let me read this to you. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move toward possibilities and expressions that are as grand and as profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Basically, this is what it says. If you can believe in something, First of all, let me say it differently. In order for you to experience something, you have to believe in it. If you don't, you will not experience it. That's one of the universal laws. As a matter of fact, one of the 7 principal hermetic principles is as above, so below. Number 2, principle of correspondence, as above, so below. If your inner world does not believe in experiencing greater love, you are not going to experience this greater love on the outside. It's not going to happen. Okay? You cannot fool or bypass the universal law. Cannot happen. Okay? The ego will fight it and will try to find an analytical understanding or analogy, and it will try to, the ego can fight all it wants. No one escapes universal laws. Okay? That's why they're universal. All right? Complete surrender. Again, yellow and purple. We are in the process of surrendering to what is. I want to make a distinction. Surrendering does not mean giving up. Surrender means I let go of the fight, or I let go of the resistance, and I allow whatever is in front of me to work its way out. Because if something is in front of you, what option do you have but to accept it? Now, there's a part of me that says, well, I don't want to accept certain things. Okay, yes, I can identify that. I can see that. I can say, yes, there is a truth to that. I don't want to accept something that's happening. Unless there is some way of me changing what's happening, which I will address in just a second. Unless there's a way of me changing what's happening, if I fight with it, all I'm doing is I'm creating resistance. On the other hand, if I can change the way I look at it, the way I look at something, the way I look at the situation, if I can change my position from which I look, if I can change my perception, that will allow me to move through whatever chaos we are experiencing. Okay? You may not be, as a single individual, stop the famine that's happening on the other side of the world. But through a higher understanding, you might come to the conclusion that perhaps us as humanity experiencing famine, perhaps it's an education to help us learn how to be more compassionate to another human being, how to not let someone else suffer while we on the other side of the continent have so much, and too much in fact, that we waste it away. Perhaps that is what we are here to learn. We are coming out of the fog, or the fog is being lifted. The Ten of Swords always symbolizes an end of an era of a lot of mental clutter, a lot of mental activity, disjointed activity. But see, what's happening here is this man in this particular picture, he's at peace with all the swords. He has found peace amongst the chaos. He's not fighting the swords, because if he was fighting the swords, likely he would be hurt. What he's doing is he's going inside. He's finding peace. And as a result of finding this inner peace, he's allowing himself to come out of this inner chaos that he has been experiencing. Again, this is collective message. Okay? We are also done pretending. Collectively speaking, we're done holding back, pretending that we are someone we are not. So, because this is a collective forecast, when it comes to certain institutions, for example, they may stand for one thing, but when you look behind the scenes, what you see is total corruption, for example. Okay, and that exists in the world. It's nothing new. But what's happening is collectively we are being done with that. We're no longer assuming that something is just because something is said. We are going, that's interesting. Let me look at it from this angle. Let me look at it from this angle. Is this true for me? How does it feel for me? We are done with pretending who we are to satisfy our ego or other people's egos. And instead we are turning into our own inner wisdom, which can only happen through our own inner awareness. It cannot happen any other way. And inner wisdom isn't just intellect. Inner wisdom is more than the intellect. Inner wisdom contains the intellect within it, but it's more than the intellect. Okay? Wisdom is deeper. Wisdom is more compassionate. Wisdom is, whereas logic is very dry. It's like swords. Okay? We are done pretending. Whatever it is that's happening in the world, this is what we want to keep in mind. Long-term goals. Another 9. Okay? What is our long-term goal collectively? If you were the king or the queen of the world and the universe said to you, okay, you're the one that's going to decide the fate of humanity, what would you want? What would you want humanity to be? Where would you want humanity to be? In what type of humanity consciousness would you like to have your human experience? If you were the person to decide that, what would it be? Here's what it would be for me. It's a lofty idea, but it is absolutely true for me. I'm not going to shy away from it. I would want to experience the world being more compassionate and more at peace with itself. Which means, well, I don't think I have to say it, but it means a world that is more compassionate, more filled with love, and less at friction with itself. And therefore, if that is my lofty idea for the world that I want to experience, then it has to be my own inner world. Because that lofty idea will be reflected from my own inner world. So if whatever your idea is, whatever the highest goal you have for your humanity, if you were the one who chose the goal for where humanity wants to be, whatever that is, it has to start with you. What can I say? This is ultimately where we are heading. The High Priestess. This is an intuitive lady. She's not rattled by what's happening on the outside. She lives between the dark and the light. She lives between the white and the black. She lives between two opposing forces. She's in balance. And because she's in balance, she doesn't sway, which means she's solid in who she is. She's stable. What she's holding is called a Torah. Torah I had to actually look it up. Torah, I believe, basically means divine law. She is ruled, if you will, by divine wisdom, by divine law. Yes, Torah symbolizes divine law, which is the memory we carry inside about the past, present, and future, or in other words, it's Akasha. This powerful being that resides between two opposing views, if you will, in the balance, she is guided by a higher law. She's not guided by the existential laws of human beings. She is connected to higher wisdom. That's why she can close her eyes and seek the wisdom that she needs from within, because she has access to it. She doesn't live in the black, she doesn't live in the white, she doesn't live in the bad, she doesn't live in the good. She understands that there is purpose in both, and that is part of her reality, but she doesn't live in either of those polarities. She is fully integrated. This is where we are heading, hopefully one day soon. What does it mean to be fully integrated? It simply means that we are no longer seeing ourselves as disjointed, as in conflict, as at war with another as a result of being at war with ourselves. And most importantly, look at her. She's at peace. She's not fighting anything. She's at peace. She understands that as long as she remains in this balanced state, as long as she's seeking out higher wisdom, as long as she's governed or led by higher wisdom, she will always, and I mean always, be supplied for. It does not mean she will not experience pain. It does not mean she will not experience challenges, but it means that she will be able to deal with whatever comes her way from a much more solid space. Imagine being that person. And imagine everyone being that person. Imagine the whole collective feeling the way she does. She doesn't live in judgments. She lives at peace with herself. Imagine every individual being at peace with themselves. Do you think for a second that we would experience the wars? No, we would not. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional. It's hitting some chord, obviously. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for being part of this beautiful transmission, because you are part of it when you listen to it. Again, if you would like to see what's coming up for you specifically as a sign for 2023, if you already signed up for my email, you will be receiving an email in your box for a whopping up to 88% off promo code in your mail. If you haven't signed up yet, there's a link down below. Click on the link. It'll take you to my site. Pop-up window will show up with free goodies. Get yourself on the list. It's free. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost you anything, and that automatically subscribes you to my email list. Make sure that you subscribe. You say yes to receiving promotions from me and free goodies, and you will be receiving emails in the next upcoming week. The 88% up to 88% off is I'm doing it for a week right now. So get yourself there if you want powerful tools to help you. First and foremost, realize your potential. To help you be more powerful, that's really what my passion is about. What can I give you in terms of understanding and higher knowledge to help you know yourself so that you can be the power that you truly are, rather than living a minimized life because your belief system is very limiting. Okay, so that is what I have for you. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to see your comments. Again, this is the kind of information I have never done before. So let's see what happens in 2023. I wish you an amazing 2023. Hopefully I'll see you in the individual signs. If not, I wish you best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye-bye.